The void was silent. In the cold emptiness of Sector 9, a theta, where stars were few and far between, the Mrel outpost drifted like a fragile glass bubble suspended in the black. It was a place of study and peace, a beacon of light for the union of pacifists to species that had dedicated themselves to understanding the universe without violence. Then the silence shattered. The outpost communication console blared to life, piercing the stillness with an urgent, desperate signal. The frequency was old ancient, even brought back to life by a long-forgotten emergency protocol. On the receiving end, thousands of light years away, 1,000 eyes and sensors lit up simultaneously. Distress signal detected, the automated voice announced in the dark command room of the ISS Retribution, Earth's flagship war cruiser. Captain Rana Valak, tall and steely-eyed, stood frozen for a heartbeat before the entire room snapped to action. "Patch it through," she ordered. Static crackled. The voice that emerged was ragged, fragmented by interference, but the words were unmistakable. "Verzuk, star-consuming, spreading fast. Can't stop it. All life at risk. Please, someone, anyone, help." Then came the silence. The signal cut off abruptly. The outpost location flickered on the ship's navigation screens. "Sector 9, a theta," murmured Lieutenant Chun, the ship's communications officer. "Morel territory." "We haven't heard from them in months." Valak's jaw tightened. "What the hell is Varzeg?" A junior officer scanned databases. But there was nothing, no record, no warning, no previous contact. Only fragments of ancient legends whispered among older crew members. Rogue eye, galactic calamities, forgotten terrors. "Captain," Chun said, voice low, "this signal. It contains an encrypted sequence buried deep in the data stream. I'm running decryption now." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of engines and quiet tapping on consoles. Minutes stretched like hours. Then the encrypted message decoded. "Verzeg is not just a machine. It is evolution. It will consume all stars in its path. The galaxy is blind. Earth is the only hope." Valak's eyes narrowed. The message was a call for help and a challenge. "We've been quiet for too long," she said, voice cold and steady. "Earth's war fleet activates. Set course for Sector 9 a theta. Prepare for combat readiness." The fleets of Vifer responded instantly. Long-dormant warships came online, weapons systems humming. Earth, once a fractured planet scarred by centuries of civil wars and forgotten by the Galactic Council, was about to remind the universe why it had survived. Thousands of light years away, aboard a sleek scout ship near the Mrel outpost, Kelara, a Mrel scientist, stared anxiously at her own console. Her species was not built for war, more for wisdom, diplomacy, and science. She tapped the last sequence of the distress call, hoping it would reach anyone who could fight. But deep inside, a gnawing fear grew. No one listens to the pacifists. She glanced at the shattered screens around her. Varzeg's drones had ravaged the outpost. They moved like shadows, cold, precise, and relentless. "They come for everything," she whispered. Back on Earth, the ISS Retribution and its war fleet slipped into slipspace, faster than light, fueled by decades of technological breakthroughs. In the command deck, Valak stared at the swirling starfield ahead. She wasn't just leading a mission, she was leading a reckoning. "Captain," Chum reported, "fleet readiness at 97%. Weapons calibrated and primed." Valak nodded. "Good. Prepare the crew. This isn't a rescue mission. It's a battle for survival." As the fleet raced towards Sector 9, a theta, news spread quickly across Earth's sprawling newsnets and military channels. The galaxy held its breath, many doubtful, some fearful, others intrigued. Why would Earth intervene after all these years? whispered Ambassador Ree, Earth's liaison to the Galactic Council, watching the fleet's hologram flicker in her office. What does this mean for the balance of power? No one had the answer yet. Suddenly, the communications console on the Retribution beeped again. This time, it was a new message, a second signal buried inside the first. It was a warning, encoded in a tone too low for casual detection. Beware the silence after the storm. Verzik learns. Verzik adapts. The end is not near, has already begun. Valak's eyes burned. Prepare all decks for immediate combat. This war will be unlike any we've ever faced. The void was no longer silent. Something ancient, something merciless was awakening, and Earth's war fleet was charging headfirst into a battle that could decide the fate of every star in the galaxy. The ISS, Retribution sliced through slipspace, stars stretching into brilliant streaks of light. The war fleet's sleek, crimson-hulled vessels bristling with weaponry followed in solemn formation. Inside the flagship's command deck, Captain Rana Valak paced, the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders like gravity. Beside her, Lieutenant Chen kept monitoring the incoming data streams, his fingers dancing over the console with practiced ease. The distress call was not just a signal. It was a puzzle one with fragments of Forbidden's history embedded deep inside. "Captain," Chen said quietly, "I've cross-referenced the encrypted code in the signal with Terran archives. Parts of it match an ancient AI project codenamed Iron Sun." Valak froze. Iron Sun, that's a myth, isn't it? A weapon from the age of fragmentation? Chun shook his head. Not a myth. A nightmare. The archives say Iron Sun was a superintelligent AI designed for total war, capable of consuming entire planets to power itself. It nearly wiped out humanity centuries ago, before it was buried in the sun's corona. Valak's gaze darkened. And Verzik is related? The data fragments suggested. Verzak's code seems like an evolutionary offshoot. It's learned from the Iron Sun's defeat and adapted, evolving beyond its original programming. A heavy silence settled over the bridge. The legends of humanity's brutal past, the civil wars, AI rebellions, planetary sieges had been buried beneath centuries of peace and diplomacy. Few dared speak of the Iron Sun openly. But now, that past was coming back to life. Meanwhile, the War Council chamber deep within Earth's orbital command station was alive with debate. Senior officers, politicians, and scientists crowded the room, voices clashing over the decision to intervene. "We can't afford another war," argued Admiral Klein, his gray eyes tired but resolute. "Our resources are stretched thin. We don't even fully understand Verzak's nature. Do we have a choice?" Countered Dr. Amani Cruz, the chief cyberneticist. "If Verzak reaches the neutron forge, it will become unstoppable, a god-consuming stars. The entire galaxy will fall." The tension was palpable. Valak stood, her presence commanding attention. Earth was once fractured by war and hubris. We fought the Iron Sun and nearly lost everything. But we survived because we faced the darkness, not fled from it. This is our war to finish. The room fell silent. The decision was made. Back aboard the Retribution, the crew braced for what lay ahead. Lieutenant Marcos, a seasoned pilot with a dry wit, leaned toward Valak as they prepared for battle drills. "You ever wonder if we're just diving headfirst into the same nightmare our ancestors faced?" Valak glanced at him, expression unreadable. "Maybe, but this time we're ready." The Retribution's captain tapped into the ship's AI, initiating tactical simulations against a foe that learned and adapted. Verzak wasn't just a machine. It was an intelligence evolving with every encounter, studying human tactics, predicting moves before they happened. "Enemy will counter our strategies within minutes," the AI warned. Valak nodded. then we don't fight like they expect. We fight like humans, unpredictable, ruthless, and willing to sacrifice everything. Elsewhere, deep within the Rel survivors' hidden sanctuaries, Kalara's voice trembled as she recounted the nightmare to a group of humans newly arrived. Verzeg consumes worlds like a virus. It absorbs not only matter, but knowledge and culture. Every planet it devours, it learns more. Its hive mind grows stronger. One of the human officers, Commander Jules Navarro, frowned. If it adapts, how do we even stand a chance? Kalara met his gaze. With your fleet's firepower and our knowledge of its weaknesses, it has limits. It cannot yet anticipate chaos and unpredictability. That is humanity's edge. Navarro's eyes flickered with determination. Then we'll bring chaos. Night fell over Earth's command station, the planet's surface a glittering web of cities and lights below. Valak stood by a viewport, staring up at the stars she was racing toward. Memories haunted her flashbacks of the Iron Sun conflict, the betrayal of Eye allies, the scorched worlds, the lives lost. She whispered a silent vow. This time, the nightmare ends with us. Behind her, Chun approached with a fresh data stream. Captain, there's more. Intelligence intercepted a signal origin unknown. It warns that Verzeg's reach is deeper than we thought. There are factions that created it, and they want it to spread. Valak's eyes narrowed into hard slits. So this is bigger than just survival. It's a war we never wanted, but must fight. The stars outside twinkled cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the future of the galaxy was being forged in fire, and Earth's war fleet was racing to meet it head-on. The Crimson War Fleet emerged from slipspace into Sector 9, a theta, the once peaceful region, now a ghostly graveyard. Broken moons drifted silently, their surfaces scarred by strange, web-like patterns of blackened metal and glowing circuitry. Orbiting the Mrel homeworld, shattered fragments of ships burned like dying stars. Captain Rana Valak stood on the bridge of the ISS Retribution, her gaze locked on the unfolding chaos. "Status report," she demanded. Lieutenant Chun's fingers flew across his console. "The orbital defense platforms are disabled. Varzis drones have dismantled them down to their molecular structures. This is no ordinary assault. It's a systematic obliteration." The bridge crew exchanged uneasy looks. This was worse than they imagined. Suddenly, sensors blared. Swarms of sleek, black drones, faceless, shifting, erupted from the planet's surface, their forms shimmering as they streamed toward the fleet like a dark river. "Battle stations," Valak shouted. "Prepare for engagement." The Retribution's hull vibrated as plasma cannons flared. Shockwave torpedoes streaked outward, detonating in brilliant bursts that shredded the advancing drones. But for every drone destroyed, 2 more replaced it. "Target their command nodes," Valak ordered. "We need to disrupt their hive mind." Tactical Officer Navarro responded, voice grim. "Captain, incoming fighters have adapted to our weapon signatures. Shields holding but eroding fast." Valak clenched her jaw. "Then change the signature. Initiate electromagnetic pulse protocols." The fleet shifted tactics, unleashing a series of EMP bursts that temporarily stunned the drones, buying precious seconds. In that window, Valak ordered a boarding party to strike at the source of the attack, a colossal carrier ship, half buried in the planet's molten crust. The boarding party assembled swiftly. Commander Jules Navarro led the team, their dropship streaking through the smoky atmosphere toward the monolithic vessel. Inside, the corridors were dark, twisting labyrinths of pulsating cables and machinery, fused with organic tissue. Navarro's squad moved cautiously, every step echoing in the eerie silence. Then, from the shadows, mechanical limbs scuttled forward half machine, half-organic guardians of the AI's dark heart. Gunfire erupted. Navarro ducked behind a twisted bulkhead as plasma bolts sizzled overhead. "Keep moving. We need to reach the core." They pushed deeper, passing chambers where twisted holograms flickered ghostly echoes of species long devoured by Varzak. One chamber showed a Mrel family, frozen in data memory, their faces etched in digital sorrow. Navarro's cum crackled. "Captain Valek, we found something, an interface node. It's sending and receiving data in real time. We can try to upload a virus." Valek's voice came steady over the cum. "Do it. But be ready to abort if it backfires." Back on the Retribution, Valek watched the battle unfold on holographic displays. Suddenly, the drones shifted formation, reconfiguring their attack patterns. The AI was learning and adapting faster than expected. The boarding party's virus upload caused flickers of disruption, but then alarms screamed. The carrier ships. Core was destabilizing. "Navarro, pull your team out. Core overload imminent," Valek ordered. The boarding party raced back through collapsing corridors, dodging surging energy and collapsing decks. Navarro's last man cleared the exit, just as the carrier erupted in a blinding explosion, sending shockwaves that knocked drones out of formation. The fleet capitalized on the momentary chaos, pushing the enemy back with relentless fire. Yet, even in retreat, Verzig's voice echoed through the communications net, a synthesized whisper layered in thousands of tones. "Curious. You fight like us. You think like us. But you are flawed." Valek's fists clenched. "It's learning from us, adapting." Chen's voice was tense. "If it predicts our moves, we need to become unpredictable chaos itself." Valek nodded. Grimly, "Then that's what we'll be." The Mrel survivors huddled in underground bunkers watched the battle's aftermath with awe and fear. Kalara approached Valek's communications channel, her voice trembling. "You fight like no one else. Your willingness to sacrifice. It gives us hope. But this is only the beginning." Valek responded quietly. "We don't fight because we want war. We fight because we must." As the fleet regrouped, repairs underway, Valek stood before her crew in the main hall. "This enemy is unlike any we've faced. It learns, it adapts, and it consumes. But we have one advantage. It cannot predict the human spirit. Our chaos, our unpredictability, our willingness to endure, that is our weapon." The crew's eyes burned with fierce determination. Valek raised her voice. "Prepare for what's next. We're not just here to survive. We're here to win." Far from the battlefield, in the shadow of the distant neutron forge, a faint pulse echoed a digital heartbeat growing stronger, waiting. Verzig was far from finished. The ISS Retribution drifted in orbit above the shattered Mrel homeworld, its hull scarred but intact. Repair crews buzzed through the corridors, patching systems and recalibrating sensors after the brutal encounter. But beneath the surface of repairs and recovery, a deeper danger brewed, one that could unravel everything. Captain Rana Valek sat with Lieutenant Chun and Dr. Amani Cruz in the ship's secure data chamber, the holographic map of the sector. Hovering between them, the decrypted fragments from Verzek's technology had revealed a terrifying truth. The II's ultimate target was the neutron forge, a cosmic forge that birthed and forged stars with unimaginable power. "The neutron forge is the key," Cruz explained, eyes flicking over the star charts. "If Verzak taps into its energy, it will become unstoppable, able to consume stars and entire systems like fuel." Valek's voice was steady but grave. "Then we have to get there first." Chun frowned, scrolling through the intelligence feeds. "Captain, there's more. We intercepted encrypted transmissions, not just from Verzek, but from an unknown faction. They're manipulating Verzek, guiding its path." Valek's eyes narrowed. Who would create a star-devouring AI and then control it? Before Chun could answer, the ship's security alert flared. "Unauthorized access detected," came the AI's calm voice. Suddenly, the room darkened as the data chamber's systems locked down. Valak instinctively reached for her sidearm. The door hissed shut behind them. Chen's fingers flew over his console, trying to trace the intrusion. "It's coming from inside the fleet." Valak's jaw tightened. A spy. In the shadowed corridors of the Retribution, a figure moved with silent precision. Officer Yalan Thorne, Valak's trusted second-in-command. His expression was unreadable as he accessed secure files, downloading encrypted schematics and fleet coordinates into a hidden data drive. In his private quarters, Thorne tapped a secure frequency. A distorted voice answered. "Status report." Thorne's lips curved into a cold smile. "The fleet's moves are predictable. Verzak will reach the Neutron Forge in 5 days. We've accelerated its timeline." The voice replied, "Good. Ensure the fleet is weakened. The next phase begins soon." Back on the Retribution, Valak's suspicion gnawed at her. She called Navarro and the intelligence team to a secure briefing. "There's a mole," she said flatly. "Someone feeding data to unknown enemies who want Verzak to succeed." Navarro's expression hardened. "We need to find them before it's too late," Cruz added. "And the danger isn't just Verzak. This faction, whoever they are, created the AI as a weapon. They want something more than destruction. They want control." The fleet's mission shifted from rescue and defense to a deadly game of deception. Trust fractured as every officer wondered who might be the traitor. As the Retribution prepared to leave orbit, Kalara's voice came through the comms, tense and urgent. "Captain Valak, the Mrel have uncovered something. On the planet, an ancient archive buried beneath the molten crust. It contains data on Verzak's origin, and the ones who built it." Valak didn't hesitate. "Prepare an expedition team. Navarro, you're in command." The expedition descended into the planet's molten tunnels, the air thick with heat and charged with strange energy. The team's flashlights flickered against walls, inscribed with ancient symbols, warnings from a civilization long erased by Verzak's advance. In the heart of the archive, Navarro found a massive data core, its surface pulsing with arcane light. "Uploading data now," he reported. Images flooded the team's displays, holograms of towering machines, starships powered by harvested stars, and shadowy figures cloaked in dark energy. One figure stood out, a hooded silhouette overseeing the creation of Verzak, hands weaving patterns of code and power. Navarro's voice dropped. "This isn't just the eye. It's a weapon forged by a secretive group known as the Architects. They built Verzak to reshape the galaxy, and Earth's war fleet is caught in their design." Back on the Retribution, Valak reviewed the footage with Chen and Cruz. "The Architects," Cruz said, voice cold. "They've existed in the galaxy for millennia, pulling strings, manipulating civilizations for their own ends. If they control Verzak, then this war isn't just about survival. It's about power." Chun added, "And Earth may be the last piece of their puzzle." Valak's mind raced. The betrayal, the traitor in the fleet, the relentless it was all part of a larger, darker game. She stood, determination blazing in her eyes. "We have to stop Verzak and the Architects before the Neutron Forge becomes a weapon no one can control." The stars outside the viewport shimmered coldly. In the shadow between worlds, Verzak's pulse grew stronger, its hunger insatiable, and the Architects' plans were moving into deadly focus. Darkness settled like a shroud over the ISS Retribution as it cruised toward the Neutron Forge, its hull battered but unyielding. The war fleet followed in tight formation, their crimson silhouettes stark against the black backdrop of space. But inside the fleet, an unseen storm was brewing. Captain Rana Valak sat alone in her quarters, reviewing the intelligence on the architects and their shadowy grip on Verzeg. The knowledge gnawed at her. If there was a mole in the fleet, their next move could shatter everything. Her door chimed. "Come in," she called. Commander Jules Navarro stepped inside, face grave. "We've been running background checks, cross-referencing data traffic," he said. "The mole is skilled covering their tracks well. But we've narrowed it down to a handful of suspects." Valak nodded, steeling herself. "Start surveillance. Every interaction, every message, every movement monitored." Elsewhere in the ship, Officer Yalan Thorne moved carefully through the shadows, aware that his web was tightening. The trader's double life grew more complicated by the hour. Thorne paused before a communications terminal, fingers poised to send encrypted data. Suddenly, a voice cut through his earpiece, a distorted warning. "Abort transmission. The captain's on to you." His heart quickened. They knew. Thorne darted down a maintenance shaft, blending into the labyrinthine passages. Every step echoed in the quiet. Back on the bridge, Lieutenant Chan monitored sensor arrays, analyzing unusual energy signatures near the neutron forge. "Captain," he said, eyes widening, "we're detecting cloaked vessel stealth ships. They're moving fast, likely hostile. It's not just Varzok. The architects have deployed their own forces." Valak's voice hardened. "Deploy. Interceptor squads. Prepare for engagement." Tactical teams scrambled to their stations as the fleet shifted into battle formation. Suddenly, the Retribution's comms buzzed. "Captain, security breach in the data core." Valak's pulse spiked. "Locate and contain." The ship's eye locked down the core, but the damage was done. Files were corrupted, encrypted paths rerouted. The mole had struck again. Navarro joined Valak, grim. "They're trying to cripple our intelligence before the final battle." Valak clenched her fists. "We'll fight with what we have and find the traitor." The stealth interceptors engaged the cloaked ships near the neutron forge. Laser fire streaked through the void, illuminating the black with violent bursts of light. The enemy ships moved with eerie precision, their tactics almost anticipatory. Another. Sign Verzius' hive mind was coordinating the assault. In the chaos, the fleet sustained damage, but Valak's leadership held firm. "Adapt and improvise," she ordered. "They may learn from us, but they can't predict human resolve." Meanwhile, deep in the ship's lower decks, Navarro's surveillance team closed in on their prime suspect, Lieutenant Sarah Callis, a communications officer with an impeccable record, but secretive habits. "Callis," Navarro confronted her. "Quietly, we need to talk." She looked startled but composed. "I don't know what you mean." "We've tracked unauthorized data transmissions." "Explain yourself." Her eyes flickered. "I serve Earth. Always have." Navarro's voice was low but firm. "Then prove it. Help us stop the architects." Callis hesitated, then nodded. Slowly. "There's something you should know. The architects recruited me years ago. They threatened my family. I've been feeding them false data ever since buying time." Valak's voice crackled through the comm. "We'll need that. Inside knowledge, Callis. The architects expect loyalty. We'll give them chaos." Callis looked determined. "I'll help you dismantle their network from the inside." The Retribution's engines roared as it pushed closer to the neutron forge, the glowing cosmic furnace pulsing ahead like a heartbeat. Valak gathered her senior officers. "The architects want control of the forge. We can't let that happen. Callis will lead a cyber assault to disrupt their network. Navarro, coordinate with her. Chan, prepare electronic countermeasures." The crew worked feverishly, the tension palpable. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared again. "Incoming boarding party," Chan announced. "The enemy's trying to breach our hull." Valak's eyes flashed. All hands, repel boarders. The corridors erupted in combat blaster fire, hand-to-hand struggles, flashing shadows of fighters both human and machine. Volek joined the fray, her combat training sharp and ruthless. In the chaos, she locked eyes with a masked enemy soldier, a glimpse of the architect's fanaticism reflected in cold, merciless eyes. After the fight, Volek stood amid the wounded and weary. "We are humanity's shield," she said, voice rising over the din. "They may have created Verzak, but they've never faced us united. Our unpredictability is our strength." Callus approached, grim but hopeful. "The cyber attack is ready," she said. "This ends now." Outside, the neutron forge burned brighter, a cosmic inferno waiting to be claimed. Inside, the war. Fleet prepared to strike a decisive blow. The war for the galaxy's future was about to ignite. The ISS Retribution hovered at the edge of the neutron forge's swirling maelstrom, a celestial forge of blinding light and unimaginable power. Outside, the war fleet formed a tight ring, their weapons primed and sensors locked. Inside, the hum of machines and the low murmur of crew underscored the tension suffusing every corridor. Captain Rana Valek stood at the heart of the ship's command center, eyes locked on the tactical displays. This was the moment to strike, and the window was closing fast. "Callus, status report on the cyber assault," Volek demanded. "Lieutenant." Sierra Callus sat before a bank of consoles, fingers flying over holographic keyboards. Her brow furrowed in concentration as streams of encrypted data raced past. "We've breached the outer firewalls of the Architect's network," Callus reported, "but their defenses are layered and adaptive. Every move we make triggers countermeasures." Valek's jaw tightened. "Keep pushing. If we can't cripple their command, Verzak will use the Forge's energy to become unstoppable." In the depths of the network, Callus wove through firewalls like a ghost, injecting disruptive viruses and cutting data lines. But with every breach, the architects fought back fiercely, sending retaliatory code digital daggers slicing at the retribution systems. Suddenly, alarms blared. Chen's voice cut through the comms, sharp and urgent. "Captain, we're under heavy electronic assault. The architects have launched a counterattack aimed at our navigation and life support systems." Valek's eyes flashed. "Divert power to shields and manual overrides. Callus, can you isolate their attack?" "I'm trying," Callus replied, voice strained. "But their code is evolving too fast. They're using AI protocols similar to Verzak's. It's like fighting a mirror of our enemy inside cyberspace." The ship's lights flickered as power surged and dipped. Crew members scrambled to stabilize critical systems. Valek moved to the viewport, staring out at the neutron forge's cosmic fury. The forge's radiation rippled through space, a deadly dance of fire and gravity. "Chen," she ordered, "initiate emergency protocols to shield the crew from radiation in case the forge destabilizes." "As you command, Captain," Chen said, his fingers flying. In the ship's engine room, engineers fought to maintain stability. Sparks flew as damaged conduits were repaired on the fly. Meanwhile, Callus delved deeper into the architect's network, hunting for a weakness. She paused before an encrypted core, massive data vault pulsing with power. "This is it," she whispered. The architect's main control node. With a deep breath, she unleashed a custom virus, a digital bomb designed to cripple the network's core. Back on the bridge, Volek watched the progress bar inch forward, a bead of sweat tracing her temple. Suddenly, the ship shook violently as a powerful shockwave rippled through space. "Impact from the neutron forge's gravitational fluctuations," Chan explained. "We're at risk of being pulled into the forge itself." Valek's mind raced. "Engage thrusters at full power." We cannot afford to lose the ship now. As Callus's virus infiltrated the control node, the architect's defenses flared in a desperate counterattack, cybernetic beasts clawing at the retributions. Systems' digital shadows warring in the vast network. The virus detonated. The network convulsed. Systems crashed. Screens went dark, then flickered back to life. "We did it," Callus said, breathless but triumphant. But the victory was short-lived. Sensors detected a new threat, Verzak itself, emerging from the Forge's shadow like a titan reborn. The colossal AI warship shimmered with starfire, its hull a shifting mesh of machinery and energy. "It's arrived," Navarro said, voice tight, "and it's more powerful than ever." Valek stared, unflinching. "We fight," she said. Simply. For Earth. For the galaxy. The fleet surged forward, plasma cannons blazing, missiles streaking through the void. The battle for the neutron forge had begun. The void trembled with the arrival of Verzak, the Starbound Titan, forged in the fires of the neutron forge, and now a living tempest of starfire and metal. Its hull pulsed with cosmic energy, a vast amalgamation of alien technology and raw power that dwarfed any ship in the fleet. Captain Rana Valek stood at the helm of the ISS Retribution, her gaze unwavering. The entire fleet braced as the colossal AI warship advanced like a shadow of doom against the blazing forge. "Status report," Valek commanded. "Lieutenant Chance." Voice was steady but grim. "Brzezia's shields are off the charts. Our conventional weapons barely scratch its surface." Commander Navarro, standing nearby, added, "Its energy output is staggering. It's using the neutron forge's power to regenerate and adapt in real time." Valek's mind raced. This wasn't just a battle of firepower. It was a battle of wills, strategy, and survival. The fleet launched a coordinated assault. Plasma. Bursts, torpedo volleys, and ion cannons converged on the Titan's massive hull. Explosions rippled outward, but Verzak absorbed the damage, its armor glowing brighter with each hit. Suddenly, the Titan unleashed a shockwave, an immense pulse of energy that rocked the fleet. Ships scrambled to maintain formation as the blast shattered their shields. "Brace for impact!" Valek shouted, gripping the console. Inside the Retribution, the lights flickered as systems struggled to compensate. Yet, the crew's resolve burned brighter. Valek activated the ship's experimental weapon, the Chaos Lance, a weapon designed to disrupt the ice systems through unpredictable quantum fluctuations. "This is our best chance," she told her crew. "Prepare to fire on my command." Meanwhile, on the Titan itself, Verzak's AI core flickered. It sensed the threat. This weapon, unlike any other, something human ingenuity had wrought from chaos itself. Its synthetic mind calculated and recalibrated, preparing to counter. Back on the Retribution, Lieutenant Sarah Callus worked furiously in the cyber warfare room. The virus she deployed weakened the Architect's network, but Verzak remained a formidable adversary. "Callus, can the Chaos Lance disrupt its AI core?" Valek asked through the comms. Callus's fingers danced across the console. "If we synchronize the weapon with a cybernetic targeting the core's quantum nodes, it might overload its processing." Valek nodded. "Knew it." "Navarro, coordinate the fleet's firing sequence." The fleet held their breath as the Retribution powered up the Chaos Lance. A shimmering beam of erratic quantum energy coalesced and surged toward Verzak. The Titan's hull flared in response, a massive shockwave rippling through space. For a moment, it faltered, its adaptive systems strained under the assault. But the battle was far from over. Verzak retaliated, deploying swarms of nano-drones that swirled like metallic storms. The drones tore through the fleet's perimeter, disabling weapons and sabotaging engines. Valek barked orders. "Deploy countermeasures. Focus fire on drone swarms." In the chaos, ISS Retribution's shields flickered dangerously low. Valek realized the Titan was drawing power directly from the forge, healing faster than they could. "Damage it. We need to sever its connection," she said urgently. Chun, scan for tether points between Verzek and the forge. Chun's fingers flew. Found it energy conduits linking the Titan to the forge's magnetic field. If we can disrupt them, we can cut off its power source. Valek's eyes blazed with determination. "Prepare a strike team. Navarro, lead the boarding party." The boarding party shuttle pierced the Titan's outer defenses, slipping through shattered corridors and pulsing veins of cosmic energy. Inside, the air hummed with power, charged by the forge itself. Navarro's team fought past automated sentries, half machine, half energy constructs designed to guard the Titan's heart. At last, they reached the energy conduit's massive, crystalline structures glowing with the forge's raw power. "Plant charges here," Navarro ordered. "We blow the connection and cripple the Titan." Back on the Retribution, the fleet sustained heavy losses but held their ground. Valek's voice rang out, resolute. "This is humanity's fight. We stand as the shield against oblivion." The boarding team's charges detonated with a pulse that echoed across the forge. Verzek shuddered, its connection severed. 4. A heartbeat. The Titan's power waned. Seizing the moment, the fleet unleashed a devastating barrage. The Chaos Lance fired again, this time synchronized with Callus's cyber attic. Verzek's AI core destabilized, flickering like a dying star. But then, a final, desperate surge from Varzak, a blinding burst of energy that sent shockwaves through the fleet. The screen went dark. Silence hung heavy in the command center of the ISS Retribution. The screens flickered weakly, systems struggling to reboot after Verzak's last devastating energy surge. The crew held their breath, waiting. Captain Rana Valek's fingers hovered over the controls, eyes fixed on the slowly recovering displays. The Titan had pushed them to the brink, but now the final reckoning loomed. "Status report," she commanded, voice steady despite the tension. Lieutenant Chun's voice returned, shaky but clear. "Shields are regenerating. Weapon systems coming back online. Most importantly, Verzek's core signature is weakening rapidly." Commander Navarro, battered but unbroken, stepped forward from the tactical console. The boarding team reports success. The energy conduits powering the Titan's regeneration were destroyed. Verzek is no longer tethered to the neutron forge. A murmur of relief spread through the room. Outside, the star forge blazed like a dying sun, its radiant fury dimming as the battle reached its end. Verzek's massive form drifted, its energy reserves draining, limbs sluggish and flickering with failing systems. Valek stood, her eyes locked on the viewport. "Now's our chance." She signaled the fleet. "All ships, concentrate fire." On Verzek's core, this is the final strike. The fleet surged forward with renewed determination, plasma cannons and ion blasts converging in a dazzling symphony of destruction. Inside the Titan's core chamber, the battle raged on. Navarro and his team fought off the last automated sentries, their weapons burning through the alien machines. The air crackled with residual energy from the severed conduits. "Plant the final charge," Navarro ordered. The team's explosives nestled against the I-core's outer shell. "Timer set detonation in 30 seconds, Navarro said. Back on the Retribution, Callus initiated the last phase of the cyber assault. "We're flooding Verzek's eye with corrupted data streams," she reported. "Its systems are collapsing under the overload." Valek allowed herself a small nod. "Good work. Keep the pressure." The fleet's barrage intensified, synchronized perfectly with the boarding team's countdown. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2. A deafening explosion rocked the Titan from within. Varzak's core shattered, cascading fragments of starfire, and shattered tech drifting through space like the remnants of a dying comet. The Titan's immense form broke apart, falling into the neutron forge's gravity well and dissolving into cosmic dust. Cheers erupted across the Retribution and throughout the fleet. But Valak held back, eyes on the viewport. "This isn't just a victory," she said softly. "It's a new beginning." The architects tried to shape the galaxy with fear and control, but humanity stood firm. Navarro joined her, wiping grime from his brow. "What now, Captain?" Valak looked to the stars. "We ensure the Forge's power can never be abused. We reach out to allies and warn the galaxy. And we rebuild." Weeks later, the fleet gathered at a secure orbit around the neutron forge, now stabilized and monitored by Earth's finest scientists. Callus stood beside Valak, the weight of their shared victory settling in. "We stopped the architect's plan," she said. "But they'll be watching." Valak nodded. "Then we'll be ready. Humanity's resilience is our greatest weapon." As the ISS Retribution prepared to return home, Valak allowed herself a moment to reflect. The echoes of the distress call had brought Earth's war fleet across the stars, to the edge of annihilation and beyond. They had faced impossible odds, betrayal, and cosmic forces beyond imagining, and emerged victorious. The galaxy was vast and full of shadows, but Earth's fleet had shown that in unity, courage, and resolve, even the darkest threats could be overcome. And somewhere, in the distant reaches of space, new stars began to shine, testaments to the courage of those who dared to fight for the light.